This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the demo session of the exclusive training provided by Isha Training Solutions, which is known as JMeter Beginner to Master with Groovy, Dynatrace, Kubernetes, Docker, InfluxDB, Grafana, and BlazeMeter. So, this training is an exclusive training provided by Isha Training Solutions. Whoever is not at all aware of JMeter, they are going to become masters at the end of this course. So I am your trainer. My name is Chandra, and I have almost 13 plus years of experience in performance testing and engineering. I have worked on different tools like JMeter, LoadRunner, NeoLoad, then APM tools like Dynatrace, AppDynamics, Datadog, and have experience on multiple protocols. So coming to this training, as I told you, we are going to cover JMeter in details. So we are going to start with beginner level, and then we are going to become master at the end of the course. Along with that, I'm going to show you the course curriculum. So few ground rules. All the sessions will be recorded. You all are going to have the lifetime access. Remember, lifetime access of all the recordings. And I'll request you all to please be on mute when the recording is in, when the session is in progress, so that we do not create disturbance in the session. However, whenever you have any queries, please feel free to ask the queries, and then we can discuss further on that. Okay. So all the documents, all the materials, whatever are going to be demonstrated during the session will be shared with you all. So let me share my screen. Any queries, anyone? Before I start, any queries, anyone? Okay. So let me go to the course curriculum. Let me share my screen. Hope my screen is visible to all of you. So this is the course JMeter Beginner to Master with Groovy, Dynatrace, Kubernetes, Docker, InfluxDB, Grafana, and BlazeMeter. So today we are having the demo session. So coming to the course curriculum, whatever we are going to cover as part of this training, like performance testing and JMeter introduction. So I'm going to briefly introduce you to performance testing, so that whoever has good experience on performance testing, they can brush up their skills. Who does not have experience on performance testing, they will get a good idea about performance testing, and we will have a logical beginning to JMeter. So we're going to cover the performance testing introduction, then what is performance testing, why performance testing is required, what are the different types of performance testing we should do, and we are also going to see the performance testing life cycle. I'm going to explain you what all different phases are there in performance testing, what all different activities are carried out in performance testing. So we are going to discuss different phases of performance testing life cycle, the activities which are covered in the different phases, the entry criteria and the exit criteria for each of the different phases, and everything is not smooth, right, in a project. So we have challenges. So similarly in performance testing also, we are going to face some challenges. So what are the different challenges in each phase, that I am going to explain. Then we'll discuss about history of JMeter and what are the different protocols supported by JMeter, what are the different features of JMeter, and then JMeter is a tool, right? So we have to do the installation, or we have to use it. So before being able to start using the JMeter tool, what are the different prerequisites which is required for JMeter installation? So Java. Java is definitely required because JMeter is based on Java. So Java should be installed on your system. So we are going to see Java installation, and how to set up the Java environment variables. And then we are going to see JMeter download, how to download JMeter, how to install JMeter, how to launch JMeter. Okay. And then we are going to see about the browser developer tool, because these concepts are very much required for performance testing or when you are going to work with a performance testing tool. So HTTP, HTML request, embedded resources, transaction, cookie, cache, user session. I'm going to explain you all of them. Then most of the applications which we are going to work on, right, is going to work on the HTTPS protocol, right? So we are going to understand the details about HTTPS protocol, like what is the request, what is the response, what is headers, then what are the different types of request methods, and what are the different status codes which you get in response from the server. Okay, so I'll take a pause here. So these are basically the topics which we are going to cover as part of our performance testing and JMeter introduction. Any queries, anyone? You can unmute yourself and ask your query. Any queries, anyone? Okay, I'll take this silence as a no. So whenever you see, because I'm presenting my screen, I cannot see if anyone has raised your hands or something like that. So whenever you have any queries, please unmute yourself. You can interrupt me and ask your query. Then comes JMeter scripting. So how to develop the scripts? See guys, we do not write test cases, right? Performance testing engineers, they do not write test cases, they develop scripts. Remember that. That is why this is a niche skill. It is a hot cake in the market. So many jobs available on performance testing. There are resources which are not available on performance testing. So if you utilize this training, if you learn the JMeter tool, and because JMeter is an open source tool, it has so much of demand in the market. So there are different performance testing tools, right? But JMeter, has created a unique space of its own in the market. So if you learn JMeter, it is definitely going to help you from your career perspective as well. So coming to the JMeter scripting, we are going to learn about the 12 major elements of JMeter. Okay, and then what is the significance, how to use those, okay, how to use those elements. Then we are going to see proxy server and JMeter setup to record the scripts. Now why this proxy server setup is required, why the JMeter setup is required, all those things I'm going to explain in details during the session. Is there a query?
Sir, screen is very short, sir.
Sorry.
The screen is very short, sir.
No, no, I think you have to check on the GoToMeeting opener tool. So
Okay.
you can hide the participant tab, and the screen will be fine for you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Have you joined from the browser?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, you please check it. So it should be fine, because I have I have shared my screen completely. Okay.
Chandra, but your voice is cracking in between. We are losing you sometimes.
Is it? Are
Hello,
others
sir.
also
Sir.
facing this?
Yes, sir. Some background noise is going on.
No, but I don't think so. That whether it is the same issue for everyone.
No, Chandra. For me, it's clear.
Yeah, so I'll request others to kindly check, because I'm alone in the room. Okay, we maintain that standards, so that there is no disturbance and all.
Okay, now it's
Okay,
good actually.
okay. So then we are going to see how to record your scripts with JMeter from different browsers. and then how to filter the irrelevant requests, the embedded resources, because sometimes some irrelevant requests also get captured, how to filter them. Then very important guys, JMeter certificate. So how to install JMeter certificate in different browsers, then the test script recording, certificate regeneration, okay, regarding the validity of certificate, for how many days it is valid, how to regenerate the certificate, those are things we are going to see. Then one of the major element, that is the test script recorder element. Okay, what are the different attributes, what are its significance, and then what are the best practices as far as the settings is concerned which you should follow while recording your test script, and then the JMeter recording best practices. And then inside JMeter we will have different files, different directories, so I'll give a walkthrough of them. And we have a jmeter.properties file. So there are different properties file. Okay, one of them is very important, is the jmeter.properties. So I'm going to explain you regarding the jmeter properties file. Then the jmeter plugin manager. Okay, why plugin is required when we already have a tool, why plugin is required, I'm going to explain the significance of that. Then the plugin installation, on installation. Then very important guys, from an interview point of view, see, whenever I'm going to cover these topics, I'm also going to cover the interview questions which you might get around those topics. Okay, so whenever I cover any topic, if there are any interview questions related to that, I'm going to cover that. So how will you identify the different scenarios for performance testing, then how to document, okay, like whichever scenarios you identify, how to document the different scenarios for performance testing of a web application. Then the end-to-end scenario recording, okay, how to do the recording for end-to-end scenario. Once your recording is completed, how the test script is going to generate. Then once your test script recording is completed, once your test script is generated, is that all, or you have to do further enhancements? If you simply record and if your script was ready, then we do not have to learn JMeter in details, right? So definitely recording is not the end, that is just the beginning. Once you record, we have to enhance our scripts, we have to make our script robust. Okay, so that is why we are going to see what are the best practices which you should follow for enhancing your scripts in JMeter. Then very important topic, correlation and parameterization. I'm going to explain you in complete details what is correlation, what is parameterization, that is going to become crystal clear for you. Please remember, you are going to expect lot of interview questions on correlation and parameterization. And why are they required? Okay, and then I'm going to explain about regular expression in JMeter, and then there is one element known as regular expression extractor along with its attributes. Then I'm going to give you real life examples, okay, real time use cases, means different kind of examples I'm going to show you regarding correlation, because that is very important. Then we are going to see CSV dataset config, how to set up the test data, then the random CSV dataset config, and then authorization token, how to handle authorization token. And then I'm also going to cover web services test design, API test scripts. Okay, so we are going to see web application, then we are going to see APIs, because nowadays we have API performance testing in scope also, right, in most of the projects. So I'm going to show you how to develop these scripts for web services as well. Any queries, anyone on JMeter scripting on the topics? So we are going to discuss the topics in detail in the future sessions. So any queries on the topics?
Chandra, Asha this side. Just one
Yeah.
query. I wanted to know that are you gonna teach about if any application is pinged, how we are gonna handle that scenario?
If any application is,
Uses the ping authentication.
sorry, I missed
So
your
there are
word. Which
different
authentic?
ping, PING.
Yeah, different. different authentication mechanisms you are saying.
Right.
Okay, sure.
And
We'll
in
we'll
that,
go. We'll,
we have a ping authentication, right? So I was talking about that.
so that we are not going to cover in details, but I'm going to, nowadays we face challenges regarding Windows authentication, right? Microsoft authentication. So that I'm going to cover how you need to handle that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries on JMeter scripting?
Yeah, hi Chandra, Manikanta here.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to cover beans and scripting as well?
Which scripting?
Bean cell.
No, instead of Bean Shell, I'm going to cover Groovy. I'm going to cover Groovy because Apache Foundation recommends Groovy, and
Okay,
Groovy is having higher performance as compared to Bean Shell. So you see, it is up to you how you want to implement. Whether you can use Bean Shell or you can use Groovy, but Apache Foundation recommends Groovy. So Groovy will be part of this course curriculum. Groovy scripting.
okay,
Okay.
okay, got it, Chandra.
Yeah. Any other queries, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
In JMeter, how will they design the workload model, sir?
that will be covered. So during our execution part, I haven't gone through the complete course curriculum, but yes, workload model design will be part of this course curriculum. You will get to understand that in, you know details. Clearly, you are going to understand what is workload model and how we can design that. Very very important also from interview point of view as well as from the project point of view. That will be covered in the training.
And pacing time calculations.
Yes, yes, spacing time, think time, calculations, how you are going to do that, we are going to see that using Little's law. Okay, how we can do that. I'm going
Okay,
to show
thank
you
you.
examples as well. We are going to implement that as well. Any other queries?
Uh, yeah, and hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, architecture of performance testing also. Actually, I
Architecture of
have attended previous performance testing. Yeah,
yeah. So from an architecture of performance testing, I think you are referring to performance test bed or how should your performance test look like, right? Oh,
yeah.
that I can cover. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Chandra Gopi here.
yeah.
We have explained bean cell scripting also.
No, Winshell is not part of this course curriculum. As I mentioned, I'm going to cover Groovy scripting as part of this course, and you can either use Groovy, you can either use Winshell, but Apache recommends Groovy. Groovy has better performance as compared to Winshell.
But nowadays most of people are using bean cell scripting also now.
No, most of the people will use Groovy.
Okay.
See, Groovy, you can either use Groovy. See, you can either use Groovy, you can either use Winshell, but Groovy is recommended by Apache from a performance
Okay.
point of view, because you are going to write application code or custom code in Groovy, you are going to write custom code in Winshell. The performance will be
Okay.
better in case of Groovy because you have to, you know, compile that code, you have to execute that code, right? Whether it is in
Okay.
Winshell, whether it is in Groovy. So the performance will be better in Groovy, and that is why Groovy is recommended over Winshell. And I'm going to cover Groovy as part of this.
Okay. And which tool you are explaining APM tools? APM tools.
APM tools, I'm going to explain the integration of JMeter with Dynatrace.
Dynatrace.
Yeah, Dynatrace.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries? Okay. Then coming to Blaze Meter. So I'm going to introduce you to Blaze Meter and then how you can do test script development with Blaze Meter. What are the circumstances under which you are going to do the test script development with Blaze Meter? Those scenarios I'm going to explain. Then I'll introduce you to the world of microservices, which is the buzzword right now, right? So we'll see microservices, Kubernetes, Dockers. So how are you going to do the test script development for microservices? When your project is based on microservices architecture, what your approach should be for performance testing, those all things I'm going to explain you. Then, now that we have seen the test script development, right, for using JMeter, using BlazeMeter, then for microservices, then comes the execution part. So how to execute the scripts in non-GUI mode. So there are different modes in JMeter, like your GUI mode, the graphical user interface mode, the non-GUI mode, and server mode. So how, how to execute tests in non-GUI, and then these settings, the Java heap settings for JMeter. I'm going to explain it later in details. What is the test summarizer, the attributes of test summarizer, how to decrease the summarizer time, and how to stop the test in non-GUI mode. Then how to stop a running test in non-GUI mode, test execution in GUI mode, whether we should do the test execution in GUI mode or not. If yes, then when, how to do that, HTML report generation in GUI mode. And then we have one file in JMeter, the JTL file, that is the results file, JMeter test log. Okay, so importance of that file and how to understand the JMeter HTML report, how to analyze the JMeter HTML report, what are the areas, key areas, right, which you need to look into in the report. Then how to change the response time values. So whenever the report is generated, the default unit is milliseconds. So how you can change from milliseconds to seconds in the HTML report. Very basic things also I'm going to cover, guys. Okay, which people will not cover, or people might not be aware as well. And then JMeter functions, how to parameterize your important parameters using the p function, very important, why to use this p function, how can we pass arguments from the command line interface during execution. Then we are going to see the scope of JMeter elements and variables, local variables, global variables, relative path, absolute path, and then another important concept, which is distributed load testing. Okay, distributed load testing, or otherwise known as master slave, or known as controller worker, or known as remote testing. So how to do that, what is that concept, how to implement it, I'm going to cover that. And then comes test execution and reporting, and test execution with bandwidth throttling. This is another important concept which I am going to cover, the bandwidth throttling. Okay, so the workload model is going to be covered in this test execution phase itself, guys. Okay, so that I'm going to explain. Then coming to the JMeter elements, their sub elements and their attributes in detail. So we are now going to deep dive into the different types of elements again, like test plan, then the non-test elements, then what the different types of thread groups. Okay, then the different controller elements, the different sampler elements, what is the use, how to use different types of elements, config elements, their explanation and use, assertion elements, what is assertion and all those things I'm going to show, timer elements, and then pacing, think time. Okay, so how to achieve in JMeter, right? So that we are going to see, listener elements, pre-processors, post-processors. So these are about your different attributes in JMeter, basically the different elements and their attributes in details. Any queries, anyone?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
If SLAs are not given, what should we do, sir?
If SLAs are not given, so it depends whether you are testing a new application or you are testing an existing application, right?
Yes.
So if it is a new application, what you have to do, you have to baseline that application. First of all, you have to discuss with the customer stakeholders, like your solution architect, your business analysts. Okay, like what should be the parameters which are acceptable and all, discuss with them, and then come up with the SLS. Even if the SLS are not there, you do the performance tests, with some assumptions, come up with some figures, show it to the stakeholders, and get a confirmation whether it is desirable or not. However, if it is an existing application and you do not have any SLAs, you can look into the production, okay, logs, and you from that you will get a fair idea regarding the volumetrics, and then you discuss with your stakeholders, try to educate them, because performance testing is not everyone's cup of tea, right? So you discuss with them and then come up with the SLS. But yes, we are going to discuss it in detail. So this is a brief, explanation on your query.
How to get production logs, sir? Then
You have to get in touch with the support team. So when you are working in a project, you will have
okay.
different team members, right? So
Yes.
you can approach the support teams who are looking into the production environment, or you can discuss with your solution architect, so or your environment team. They will help you in getting the production logs from them.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Any other queries, anyone? We haven't covered the course curriculum yet. This is a huge training, guys. So many things are going to be covered as part of this training. Any other queries till now?
Hi Chandra, this is Nagamani. Good evening.
Yeah, tell me.
Yes, is it cover heap dump and thread dump analysis in this course?
Heap dump and thread dump analysis is not part of this course, because that is part of your analysis part, and our focus is on on JMeter tool. Any other queries?
Chandra, Gopi here.
Yeah, tell me.
Bottlenecks also covered. Bottlenecks.
Yeah, bottlenecks. What are bottlenecks? But how the bottlenecks look like and all, what can be the potential bottlenecks, those I'm going to explain.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries, anyone? Okay, then we have the integration of JMeter with InfluxDB and Grafana. So I'll introduce you to InfluxDB. I'll introduce you to Grafana. What are they? What are its use? So I'll show you the implementation with InfluxDB 2 as well. It is, it is latest in the market. So many people do not know that implementation as well. So I'm going to show you the implementation with InfluxDB 2 as well. So JMeter integration with InfluxDB and Grafana, we are going to see that. Then very much demand, right? Like people were asking so many queries regarding bin shell. So as I was telling you, bin shell scripting is not as part of this training. However, we are going to cover Groovy, and Apache Foundation recommends Groovy over bin shell to be used with JMeter because of its better performance. So we are going to see Groovy scripting. Now I'll explain what is Groovy. Okay, I'll give you the introduction to Groovy scripting language, and then there is one element in JMeter known as the JSR223. Now why it is called as JSR223, we are going to see that in details. Then we are going to cover different topics as part of Groovy scripting, like comment, print, variables, operators, variables, and then we are going to see some real examples, okay, how you can implement Groovy using all these concepts whatever we are going to learn. So Groovy scripting will be covered. Then we had one query regarding the APM tool, right? So we are going to cover the integration of JMeter. So I'm going to cover the introduction to Dynatrace. I am going to explain you how you can, monitor an application, do the application performance monitoring with Dynatrace. Obviously, this will be a brief one because for Dynatrace we have another separate exclusive batch running. when if someone wants to learn Dynatrace in details. So over here I'm going to explain you the amount of knowledge required for analysis. Okay, whenever you're doing any performance test, and then I'm going to show you how you can integrate JMeter with Dynatrace. So this is our entire course content which we are going to cover as part of this exclusive training designed by Isha Training Solutions, that is JMeter, Beginner to Master, Groovy, Dynatrace, Kubernetes, Docker, InfluxDB, Grafana and BlazeMeter. The training is going to be covered in a duration of 50 to 52 hours, and the sessions will be held on weekdays from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. IST. Any queries, anyone?
Acharya, how much you are covering on the Docker side and Kubernetes?
On Kubernetes and Docker, I'm going to explain the concepts behind Kubernetes, behind Docker. Okay, the introduction part, and I'm going to explain about them, and then so we have microservices, right? So how you can implement JMeter in microservices, how you can develop the scripts for microservices using JMeter.
So are we going to cover kind of monitoring the pods and how to
No, that
monitor
that
them?
is that is that is not part of this course curriculum.
Okay, just asking because we are talking about Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to explain because nowadays we have microservices, so people get surprised, like, or they become scared, like when they hear about performance testing of microservices, how to do that and all. So that I'm going to explain using JMeter again. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Any other queries, anyone?
Hi Chandra, this is Ramakrishna here.
Yeah. Please tell me.
APIs is covered is there?
Sorry.
APIs, API calls is
Yeah,
covered is there? This.
APIs is covered. Yeah, APIs is covered.
Okay, thank you.
We have the web services test design here. So
Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
How
please
to
tell
set
me.
up the test? How to set up the test environment in JMeter?
How to set up the test in JMeter means,
Environment.
again there are. Yeah, tell me.
Defined
Environment.
variables. Yeah.
Yeah, how to set up the performance test environment JMeter means, basically there are again different concepts. Whether you want to set it up as a pipeline or you want to set it up as on-premise, right? So when it is on-premise, your load generator machine from where you want to inject your load, on that particular machine you are going to set up JMeter, and from that machine you should be able to access your application under test, and it should be like the way real users, okay, are going to access the application. Your setup should be similar to that. Otherwise, if you have a different setup, the response time which you are going to get, that is not going to correlate with your real time users, right? So in that way, the way the real users are going to access the application, in similar fashion you need to set up your load generator, and on the load generator machine you need to have JMeter. Now again, if you want to do distributed testing, so for distributed testing we have different configuration again, which we are going to see during our training.
Sir, are you covering Scrum and Agile methodologies?
I can explain how performance testing will be applicable to agile methodology. Okay, but agile ceremonies like Scrum, sprint planning, sprint review, all those are not part of this training. How performance testing will be applicable to agile methodology, I can explain that, I can include that. Okay.
Good evening, Shimra.
Yeah,
Are we
tell me.
covering the metrics collection through AppDynamics also in JMeter?
No, AppDynamics is not going to be part of this course. We are going to cover Dynatrace.
Okay, thank you.
See, again, once you know about one APM tool, learning another APM tool should be a cakewalk. Okay. So once you know how to learn JMeter with Dynatrace, you should be able to do that with Datadog. You should be able to do that with AppDynamics, because over here we are going to understand how JMeter can be integrated with Dynatrace and how I can use Dynatrace to monitor my tests. But yes, to answer your question, AppDynamics is not covered, rather Dynatrace is covered.
Chandra, what was the Jenkins on CI/CD pipelines?
Yeah,
Hello,
integration of JMeter with Jenkins. I'm going to cover that as well. How to integrate JMeter with Jenkins, that I'll cover.
and how to create pipeline also.
No, creation of pipe. I'm sorry. Again, sometimes we get confused with our roles and responsibilities. Creation of pipeline is not the responsibility of a performance test engineer. Creation of
Okay.
pipeline is the responsibility of DevOps. I can explain you the architecture, how it should, how the pipeline should look like. But designing that, creating that is not the role of a performance test engineer. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you all should know what are your roles and responsibilities. Based on that, you work in the project. Otherwise, people will keep, piling up tasks on your name, for whom you should not be the owner, right? So all these things, I'm going to explain during the training. Any other queries, anyone?
Hi, Chandra. This is Shiva.
Yeah,
Are you
tell me.
going to cover Postman?
Sorry, can you please come again?
Yeah. Are you going to cover the Postman tool?
Postman.
Yeah.
No, postman is not going to be covered as part of this. But when you learn the API testing with JMeter, you should get a fair idea about postman as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
Sir,
Any? Yeah.
sir, then what about the web services, sir?
Yeah, that is there that is there in the topic. I covered that web services test design.
Okay.
Hi Chandra. In Grafana, what other things will cover?
In Grafana, I'm going to show you the integration of JMeter with Grafana. So how you can collect the metrics, the JMeter metrics in Grafana, and then how you can monitor your tests using Grafana.
Can we see the pods and pod containers restarts like this in Grafana?
No, so as I told you, pods, containers, all those will not be part of this course. I'm going to explain you the concept of Kubernetes and Dockers and all. So whenever you see, again, whenever those things are implemented in your project, okay, now Grafana setup, again, it is not the responsibility of a performance test engineer. Now if your project has implemented pods, containers, Kubernetes, basically, right, Dockers, so they are going to set up those tools. Your job will be to integrate them with JMeter. Understood?
Yes, integration means once they will application team will provide the link, service link, then we can only create the dashboard in Grafana, right?
Yes, you can create the dashboard and all, yeah, all those
We
things.
can monitor that.
Yes, you can monitor that. So as part of this course, we are going to see the integration part, how you are going to integrate JMeter with Grafana, what are the steps, right? It is not straightforward. And then how you can get the metrics from JMeter, how you can monitor your tests. Any other queries?
And also for Jenkins, once create the script, then do we need to cover like Jenkins jobs to run the JMeter script in Jenkins? Is
I
it
I will
covered?
show. Yes, I will show you how to integrate JMeter with Jenkins. I will trigger a test or I'll trigger a build in Jenkins, and you will see that your test will get executed in JMeter. Okay.
And
Any other
also in
queries?
Like the mo
Jenkins, can we collect the report also, right, Chandra?
Yeah, you can do so many things with Jenkins. The way you are going to, you see, whatever tasks you want to cover with Jenkins, you can do that. Again, as I told you, all this setup is the responsibility of the DevOps team. Those responsibility is not yours. But I'm going to show you that integration, how to run tests from Jenkins so that it will get executed in JMeter and all.
And one more thing, is it cover JDBC configurations like in samplers, JDBC samplers?
I'll cover some of the samplers. JDBC I'll cover maybe, but each and every sampler, I'll be covering like FTP, JDBC, okay, and then HTTP request by default we're covering, and we have other samplers. So I'll be telling you which sampler is going to be used for which all different types of tests. Like we have messages, right? Queues. So all those things we are going to see.
You have covered SMT sampler also, SMTP sampler.
SMTP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell those details. Yeah.
And SSH command, these things are covered, Chandra.
Sorry, which one?
SSH. SSH.
Means you want to launch JMeter in Linux. That is what you are saying.
Yes, Linux.
Yes, yes. That I'll show you how to launch JMeter in Linux and all.
Okay. For Groovy scripting, do we need any knowledge is required, like any Java language is necessary for this one, Groovy scripting?
Basic knowledge of Java is required. Okay, basic knowledge of Java is required, but uh, I think the way I'm going to cover it, you should be able to understand it. That is not going to be a problem.
Thank you, Chandra.
Okay. Any other queries, anyone?
sir,
Yeah.
can you give us a brief introduction about workload modeling, sir?
You want a brief introduction about workload modeling?
Yeah, what are the metrics going to cover in that?
See, in workload modeling, we are going to see what is going to be the think time, what is going to be the pacing, so that whatever requirement is given to us, like we have to achieve a particular TPS with particular number of users. Am I going to be able to achieve that or not? That I can know without even doing the test execution. Okay, I'm going to explain you the different approaches. Like sometimes they give you the requirements that you have to do the test with such and such, requirements like these many users, this much TPS you have to achieve. So without doing the complete test execution also, I'll be able to tell to the customer whether I can achieve this or not. So that approach I'm going to tell you. And if it is achievable, in order to meet that particular TPS with those many number of users, what is going to be your approach? So we have a law or rule known as Little's law. But Little's law is a formula like number of users is equal to transactions per second into response time. So how think time, how pacing can be incorporated into that, those are things we are going to see during the training. Okay, any other queries, anyone? So let us start this demo for today, guys. Okay, so we have gone through the course curriculum, whatever topics are going to be covered as part of this training. Now we are going to start with our course. So the first topic which we are going to cover is the performance testing and JMeter introduction. So give me a moment.
Sir, what are the domains you are going to cover in this training session, sir?
Domains means you're asking from an application domain point of view.
Yes, sir.
I'm
E-commerce
actually,
application or
yeah,
banking application.
we will have e-commerce application, and basically I'll be showing e-commerce applications, and those will be basically web applications, and I'm also going to show the web services. Okay.
What about the insurance and healthcare domains?
No, no, those applications we are not going to cover as part of this. See, the agenda, the objective is to learn about JMeter. So once you have good hold on JMeter, you should be able to uh, develop the scripts for different applications.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to see the we are going to start the session for today. Let me share my screen again.
Chandra,
Yeah, tell me.
how many days system hours?
Sorry, your voice is breaking. Can you please come again?
How many days sessions? How many days? How many hours?
Yeah, this course is going to be covered in 50 to 52 hours. 50 hours, most probably. Am I clear?
Like it's a 50-day session, I mean, right, Chandra? I mean,
50 hours. Yeah, 50 days, you can say. Because every day the session will be of 1 hour. So 50 days. We are going to cover a lot of topics and we are going to go in details. So you will not, repent for those 50 hours. Okay. Any other queries, anyone? So let me share my screen. So coming to the introduction, guys, like we know when our exam results are published, like during our college days, right? When the exam results would get published, then Tatkal tickets booking, Flipkart's first big billion day sale. So when I'm saying these points, to which kind of testing am I going to refer? Okay, then will the infrastructure work in production? Whatever infrastructure I am building for my application, is that going to work in production or not? How is my data center operations going to work in case of an earthquake? Before that, now there was a war between Russia and Ukraine, right? So some companies would be based out of Russia, some companies would be based out of Ukraine. So how did they manage their operations? Clear? So those all things are there. Then application, can my application be hacked? Similarly, can there be a data security breach in my application? And then is there any malware? Okay, is there any malware which can be introduced in my application? And then will my application be compatible with different browsers? Can my application be accessed by differently abled persons? So all these points which I am trying to highlight, they belong to different types of testing. But the question to you, whether they are functional testing? No, they are not functional testing. Rather, they are non-functional testing. So the different types of non-functional testing are performance testing, site reliability testing, security testing, browser compatibility testing, and accessibility testing. Okay. Do not think that when we say non-functional testing, we will only refer to performance testing. It is not like that. So whenever we are going to get the non-functional requirements, you might get the requirements based on different types of testing. However, as part of this training, we are going to cover the performance testing. We are going to cover performance testing. So the question arises, why performance testing is required, right? Why performance testing is required? See, performance testing,
Or some disturbance is
one,
going on.
one moment, there is some problem in this slide. Okay, so why performance testing we do? We do performance testing for three different factors, guys, for three different factors. Okay, yeah. So first one is the speed. We want to measure the speed of the application. Now when I say speed, what speed actually means? Now how fast is my application able to respond, guys? How fast my application is able to respond? Now if my application is having good performance, if my application is having good speed, now it is having a good speed with a particular number of users, for example. Now, if I increase the number of users, is my application going to have that amount of performance or that amount of speed, right? So that we call it as scalability. Now, for example, with a particular number of users, my application is having so and so response time. I'm increasing my application load, or I'm increasing the volumetric on my application, I'm increasing the users on my application. Can my application scale up? Can my application scale up to meet that requirement? So we are also verifying the scalability of the application. Then comes reliability. Now whenever my application is having good speed, let's say my application is also scalable, but when it is in, means if it is having good speed, if it is having good scalability for a finite duration, then also I cannot say that my application performance is good, because I need my application to be reliable as well, right? I need my application to be reliable as well for a longer duration of time, for longer periods of time. My application should have good performance. That is why we say that the important parameters which we need to measure from a performance testing point of view are speed, scalability, and reliability. Okay, so we will go into the next topics in the next session. With this, we'll stop the demo session for today. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for today. Bye for now.